But another super important fact is 14% of all for sale by owners attempted succeed. Now, you can cut this number in half because 7% of the 14% that were successful, they already knew who was buying the home. It was a relative, a friend, or neighbor. So of those exposed to the market to sell their home, only 7% had a success rate. Okay, so we know 14% of all for sale by owners, right, all have success. But of that 14%, only 7% was from somebody they didn't know, which, if you think about it, is a really important statistic, because even of their friends, neighbors, and relatives who were supposed to just run in and buy the home, the majority of them still fail. The majority of those transactions that go into escrow, even when it's a relative, friend, or neighbor, still fail. There are many reasons for this. Number one, when you get the offer, anybody in this real estate business understands that's when the real work begins. Okay? To think that all you have to do is secure an offer to get a home closed is an archaic way of thinking in this modern day of internet. People know better now. That's why you can see that people for sale by owners have consistently gone down in the attempt because of information. The internet, people being able to educate themselves has drastically reduced the amount of people who attempt to do for sale by owner deals or try to sell their home on their own, because they're aware of all of these negative situations that they're putting themselves in. So there is the non-biased, outside the box thinking that a good broker should be doing, because you got to get these people through the disclosure period, then the inspections, then it has to appraise, and you have to have a good qualified buyer. Just because they have a qualification letter does not mean in any way, shape, or form that they're not going to fail, right? And that doesn't mean you're going to get their earnest money. Believe me, earnest money in Oregon you're not going to get it if the other side if the buyers are coming with any kind of education in real estate. If they know what they're doing, that you're not going to be able to, in Oregon, you're not going to get their earnest money. It's called a buyer's state, okay? The listing broker, or the sales professional, right? My thing is, I know everything is going to be a fight right down to the last minute, right down until everybody has signed, right down until that equity money is in your hand or bank account, right? All the way from beginning to end. There's so many places that a real estate deal can fail after everybody signed on the dotted line that, hey, yeah, we agree in earnest, or we've put up our earnest money, so you'll take it off the market so we can, so we can close this deal. Like I said, number one, you gotta get through the disclosures. A lot of people blow out at the disclosures. Hey, a lot of for sale by owners don't even know you have to have disclosures. Believe me, you have to have that disclosure statement. If you fail to properly do the disclosure statement and you get taken to court, you're done. You are going to get sued. You are not going to win by any way, shape, or form. You have to have proper disclosures with the Oregon disclosure statement signed and agreed to. Once you get through the disclosure, you have the inspection period, right? The inspection period, it has to be properly implemented, okay? Their inspections have to be done the way they said it was going to be done, and the seller has to allow the proper access for them to do whatever inspections that they've asked for. okay? Then the inspection negotiation. So here's the beauty of it. It doesn't matter what they want. It doesn't matter what the bank wants. Okay? You as a seller don't have to fix anything. You have to disclose everything. You have to have proper disclosure. Disclosure is important, but you have to fix nothing. Right? And one thing that I have found is there are you can hire a professional inspector and have a professional inspection. But of those inspections, right, the negative things in that inspection, of those, 10% are wrong. I will find something wrong, a mistake, something that is marked or as needing fixed or broke. Right? I will find at least one thing on every inspection that is wrong to save my clients money. What I find, it's about 10% mistake. Sometimes, I've saved my clients tens of thousands of dollars just by asking why, just by saying that doesn't make sense. I can't tell you how many people have asked for water heaters, right? They want a new water heater on a house that's been sitting empty for a while just because somebody didn't flip a breaker on it, right? And it might sound silly. It might sound like that's archaic, that's ridiculous, Justin. How would that happen? It does happen because nobody wants to question the expert, the inspector. But remember, he's an inspector, right? And then the guy, he's not a perfectionist. He's not a genius. He's an inspector. They will forget things like, did I turn the breaker on to this? Is the breaker even on? Nope, it needs a new water heater. It doesn't work. Happens, right? I know of other brokers saying, oh yeah, my clients had to buy a water heater. I was like, did you check the breaker? Oh no, we didn't. Well, you just bought them a new water heater and I'm sure they'll thank you for it. But hey, little things like that. All the way down to, for me, having my own moisture meter. Hey, you know what? If they say that there's moisture under a floor anywhere, I always double check it. I come in back after and double check it. It was beginning of this year. It was January. I had this situation where they came and said, "Hey, we want you to tear up a beautiful slate bathroom floor. And they want it torn up to be inspected for water damage. And this is at my seller's expense, right? And then fix the water damage and relay this beautiful tile." And it seemed ridiculous to me, but it was in the showers here, the toilets here. It was early in the morning, the inspection was done, and I immediately thought, well, it's probably moisture from the shower, because the person who lives there probably took a shower that morning. So I went in later that day, I took a hairdryer, made sure everything was dry, right, as far as surface water, right, because it's travertine, so it's porous. So made sure everything was dry. I set my moisture meter on the proper setting to understand that we have a porous rock and we need to find out is there water under it. And of course, there was no moisture. I was able to prove it, right, and save my clients from having to tear that floor up. Right, so there's a lot that goes into this real estate business. Nobody pays us this kind of money because the rest of the United States or the rest of the world is not as smart as a few people, right? That's just not how it works. I mean, you know what? Everybody gets paid in accordance to the problems they solve. I mean, this is something that everybody should know. Here's how value works. Everybody in this world is paid, or their value is measured in accordance to the size or the complication or the value of the problems they solve. In real estate, we are solving some pretty huge problems. You can be a yes man and just agree with every inspector and every appraiser, or you can be like myself and rebut everything to try and gain your clients the best deal possible. And one of the things that I can't stress enough is people are thinking dollars, 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 right? And I think sometimes there's more value in something outside of dollars. So repairs, appliances, things of that nature, things that are actually personal property that you can separate out and sell them either outside or individually to that buyer, right? So it's not always dollars and cents. Sometimes it's chattel, and sometimes it's time. Sometimes, I've had sellers that were qualified to do repairs and have been able to do them in agreement with the buyers with the reinspection, save my sellers thousands and thousands of dollars. All kinds of things you can do to save your clients money. However, that is the very top of the food chain when it comes to real estate brokerage or real estate listing brokers. What I'm talking about as far as these statistics is just the average, just basic. So if you hire just an average realtor, just an average one, and you can get 17% more money. So imagine how much value you can get in hiring one of the top 10 in your county or city. In that top 10, top 20, even top 50. In Lane County, there are 853 licensed real estate brokers. Of that 850, right, there are 100 that are completely excellent. That doesn't mean they sell the most houses by any means. I'm going to say that again. It doesn't matter to the individual homeowner how many homes their real estate professional sells. It doesn't matter, right? What matters is how well they do on an individual home-by-home basis, right? How well do they do? Do they give 110% on every aspect? The advertising up to getting the offer up to making sure they're protected with disclosures so there's no litigation or lawsuit, up to making sure that there's nothing on the inspection report that is unnecessary or things that they can argue and negotiate so you don't have to spend money there or even your time there. Making sure that the approval letter, if they have financing, you come with that approval letter. That approval letter is not worth anything unless the people close. And I'm telling you, an approval letter is no guarantee that people can actually close. You have to investigate that approval letter. You have to investigate a little bit. Who is the lender? Who is the mortgage broker? Who are these buyers? Right? There's a reason there are so many no closes in real estate, right? And of these no closes, most of them had approval letters from mortgage brokers, banks, or lenders, right? Now, that's not saying that that letters are worthless. Letters are absolutely required. You need to see a letter. However, you need to investigate the validity of that letter. You have to have the connections to be able to call people and say, hey, what do you think about so-and-so at this bank? Okay, you have to be able to call the buyer's agent and say, what do they like? Right? You have to be able to kind of figure out, what you can figure out, because if you spend all that time with your house off the market, you may have done repairs, you may have spent money you didn't have to in hopes that you're going to get this thing because you think you're going to get it closed, and then the bank, at the final underwriting, the bank rejects the loan, which happens at the last minute. You're caught holding the bag. In the state of Oregon, there is a built-in clause that if the buyers cannot, in good faith, if they can't get financing, you cannot keep their earnest money. Okay? I'm going to repeat that because it's important. In Oregon, if it doesn't matter. They can put $10,000 earnest money. They can, whatever. If at the very end, they got through inspections, they've signed the removal of contingencies. At the very end, if the lender, if the bank rejects them and the buyers are acting in good faith, but the bank just rejects them, you are not entitled to their earnest money. And that is in statute law. You can't contract out of it. Right? I've seen it happen. So it's so important that you have a real estate professional with the connections, who knows the local lenders, who understands, hey, this guy's brand new in the business, this guy has, he writes letters for everybody, just hoping somebody's going to get it, because it's like throwing spaghetti against the wall, somebody's going to get approved, because mortgage brokers are not, they're not under the same stringent guidelines and laws that real estate brokers are. In the hierarchy of things, real estate brokers are supposed to be on the top, protecting their clients, right, and overseeing the mortgage brokers, making sure they're doing their job, the inspectors, the appraisers, right? As real estate brokers, we are supposed to be experts in our field. And that's going to include mortgage. That's going to include home inspections. That's going to include lot descriptions, lot lines. We have to have some information. Not that we need to have enough. That's not that we need to be an inspector. We just need to know when something's off, when something doesn't make sense, and when something's awry. We need to understand and know that. When you're a for sale by owner, you are pretty much, there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason there. If it was made any sense, if it really made any sense to not use us, nobody would. I wouldn't. Why would I? I wouldn't do it on my own. However, I totally appreciate those people who question, and that's what I love about for sale by owners. I love the fact that they question, well, why can't I? Why would I pay you this? Why? I think I have the confidence I can do it on my own. That's why I love working with for sale by owners, because they usually are, once I've met them and I've kind of showed them the numbers, they're smart people, right? But they're not, they're being pulled this direction, that direction, because there's a lot of entities that make money taking advantage of for sale by owners, right? A licensed professional real estate broker is the one person who is not going to take advantage of a for sale by owner. We are licensed professional real estate brokers with the fiduciary responsibility to put the interest of our clients and even the public over and above our own. We need to have, we have a stringent ethics code. There are strict laws we have to abide by. But the one thing, I think us licensed brokers, the one super advantage we have is we have to abide by the code of ethics. Okay? The code of ethics. It's great. If you're a person selling your home, that's amazing, right? When you hire us, we have a strict code of ethics that we have to follow, that nobody else in the world has to follow, right? As of now, and that's who we're working for. We're working for the seller, or if it's a buyer's agent, working for the buyer, right? This code of ethics has nothing to do with the selling to the general public, or what we have to do when we're they're trying to make a sale happen for our client. It has to do between what's called our agency. When an agency means who we're representing, right? So I'll get into that in another video, exactly what agency means, but what it means to me is I'm the hired gun. You hired me, I'm the hired gun. I'm the professional, right? I'm the top Tom Cruise in Top Gun. I'm the guy. You're hiring me because I'm the very best at what I do, and without me, you have a huge disadvantage. With me, I'm going to make you money. I'm going to save you time. I'm going to give you a massive advantage over the market, especially if you're going to try and do it on your own. So I'm going to hem this up in the three top things. Number one, you're not insured. You don't know the laws, and the risk of getting sued, whether how small, the risk of getting sued is there. And 70% of all real estate lawsuits come from for sale by owners. Number two, you're not going to get as much money. Hey, there might be in some way that a couple people got lucky and accidentally sold more than one of the worst real estate brokers in their area, right? So, the real estate broker couldn't sell for X amount of dollars. They took it off the market, did it on their own, they got the amount of money, and everything went wonderful for them. But you understand, that is obviously, statistically, that is, you might as well start scratching lottery tickets. You're more likely to fail. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. The lottery mentality is not sustainable. So we're going to get you 70% more money, just on an average. If you can find a top broker in your area, the guy at the top of his game, listing broker, much more money you're going to make. So that commission, it is not an expense that you're saving. That is an investment. Okay? So you're trying to turn, let's say you had to pay a $6,000 commission, right? And that is to make you another $15,000 in profit and nothing out of your pocket. That's the biggest thing, I spend tons of $2,000 a month on advertising is what I'm going to spend. Yeah, do you have that? Can you spend that? Of course you can. I can spend it because it's in my industry. It's in my corporation. Right? It's part of my business expense. I do this for a living. I run a business. Right? And then finally, man, you're going to spend the money on advertising. You're going to put yourself at all this risk. In the end, you're going to get less money. Okay? And you're going to end up having to hire a real estate agent anyway in the end. Right? Or just give up. But most people end up hiring, they go for a while and they end up hiring a real estate agent anyway, or broker anyway. So you spend all the money, you put yourself at risk, you spend all the time. Essentially, you kind of expose your home to the market without proper advertising, and some of the people that maybe would have bought in the first place have kind of now been scared away. There's all kinds of negative connotations of that. But you have unless you know already, like you were for sale by owner, but you already were selling it to your mom or your cousin's brother, your neighbor, your friend, and even at that, right, most of the time that fails, 7% of the 14% is people they know. You have a 7% chance of selling your home. Okay? You only, even with everything said and done, even with selling your relatives and everything else, you only have a 14% chance of having success as a for sale by owner. So armed with that information, I know my entrepreneurial, motivated, questioning why for sale by owners. With that information, I know that these people are going to, most of them, not everybody works from a place of logic, I understand, but most of you are going to go ahead and rethink, right, and probably hire a broker. And that's a whole different subject, because hiring a broker and hiring one of the best brokers is a whole nother video. That's it. Thank you for watching. So subscribe to my channel. There should be a red button up there. Leave a comment below, teamthayer.com. Remember, that's what it's about. Thanks. See you next time.